gathered friends, listen again to the BS01 podcast. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Spirit here. Just so you know, we're running a little contest in this show. So listen for details at some point in this episode. We'll cut away from the discussion and reveal how you could win your very own Ghostbusters set. So without further ado, here's the podcast. Well, hello and welcome to episode 1 of the brand new BS01 podcast. I am Spirit.
I am Dorek.
And I am Swert.
Yeah, so this is something we're trying out. New format, hopefully a little more reliable than the previous iteration of the podcast. We'll see how this goes.
Maybe we won't lose interest in it in like 5 months.
Yeah, you know, maybe. These things could possibly happen. Stranger things have happened.
They have. Like Bionicle coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Now we have a reason for podcasting.
Exactly.
And we somehow found time to do it. What else to do?
Wait, was there one done during 2015 at all? A podcast?
We did the LEGO movie review.
Oh, okay.
That's probably the closest we were to get, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think we've actually talked about Generation 2 Bionicle on this podcast.
Well, to be fair,
go.
we didn't have much content to talk about yet either for a storyline.
And now we've got a TV show, books.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a TV show?
Har. I was just thinking that, though, like, it's hard to quantify this as a television show because Netflix is streaming and it's just such a different beast.
It's such a... Yeah, time has definitely changed. This is such a different, like, way of doing it. To be honest, I haven't caught up on any of the other shows that I should watch, like Daredevil. I should go watch that, but not right now.
You should. Season 2 coming out.
Will we call this a web series?
I wouldn't classify it as a web series. The Netflix method is just so weird. I would more classify it as almost like released to DVD.
I think
without it being DVD.
Streaming series is what they call it, I think. I don't know. Let's go like Wikipedia House of Cards and see what they do.
That's probably a good idea.
Or we'll just call it the Netflix original series, Bionicle Journey to One.
The Journey to One.
The Journey to One. Yes. Interesting name, I think.
Lego Bionicle, The Journey to One.
So, I mean, I guess we could talk about the title to start off with. Like, what... Like, they say Journey to One literally in the show, and I can't figure out what the Journey to One is. Like, is it...
I think they would have been okay without actually, like, uttering the line Journey to One in the show. That felt really forced, but... I mean, the idea that unity is the key to their success, essentially. Not just, like, in multiple levels. Unity with the Beast, but also unity as a team, which is carrying over the idea from the previous year, basically.
Right. More to the point, it feels like... Yeah, the Journey to One suggests that there's supposed to be... And I'm just talking from, like, a devil's advocate outsider perspective. There's going to be just one left out of all these 6, so pick your favorite. That's what it... To me, that's immediately what I think of.
Oh, that they're all going to die?
That got dark. Wow, we went there quick.
And coming in next week, we're going to have Lacan. And he's gone. No. I'm just saying the way the title suggests it's going to be like, hey, the Journey to One. So we start with 6 and
end with 1. All right. Well, but I think it's also weird because at some point they repeat a line that we heard in 2015, which is from the Prophecy of Heroes, which is united but not one, and yet we have the title, which is Journey to One. So
that prophecy causes me no end of grief. Like, they couldn't even make it rhyme. Like, come on, guys.
Right? I know, that was such a missed opportunity.
You know, can we finally not have a prophecy just randomly start off something? I'm just saying.
Nope. Everything in Bionicle has to have been foreseen.
Yes, by somebody.
As a
I don't know
vision,
who.
yes, I'll accept. But just a random prophecy that nobody knows who exactly wrote it?
Technically, Ikimu wrote it.
Well, he said it.
Right, no, he said it, but like he was the creator of said prophecy because he learned it from the Mask of Time, which is still like a huge, big X factor in the whole series.
Right.
Well, I'll fault LEGO on the prophecy in Generation 1, which was talking about Voya Nui, that it didn't even appear in the storyline, but it
Right.
foreshadowed everything.
Right. Well, I mean, didn't they release that part like before they had realized that they were going to have the Toa Mari, essentially? Like, weren't they going to bring the Toa Nuva back a year earlier or something, and then the plans kind of got altered midway?
Oh, I think they were going to push them back another year.
Oh, they were going to have the Mari
3
for
years.
an extra year. 3 years
Yes,
of the...
yeah.
Okay. But then they brought the Nuva back just because...
Well, they wanted to, I guess, quote-unquote, end it on a high note at that point. Well, think about it. With the returning heroes, again, going on the high note.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they wanted the big twist to involve the heroes that we knew, I guess.
But again, it makes no sense because at that point, if they're gathering the new fans, they would know the Mari more, but nah.
Right, we're not here to talk about old Bionicle.
Yes.
We're here to talk about new
No,
Bionicle.
we're talking about the new stuff. So maybe we should start with the prologue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
that was the prologue.
if you've been living under a rock, the big news this week was that Journey to One released the first quote-unquote 3 episodes of the Netflix original series. So there's the prologue, episode 1 and episode 2. It sort of ends on a cliffhanger. But if you haven't seen it already, word of warning, there are going to be catastrophically huge spoilers in this podcast. So go watch that first. Get your Netflix 1 month free trial, or get Netflix and just waste away your life, and then come back and listen to this podcast.
Or steal the password from a friend, because literally everybody has Netflix aside from this person who we're talking to, apparently.
So I guess at this point, anybody still listening, if you're still listening, you either haven't paused yet, or you really don't care about spoilers, or you've already seen it. So let's proceed forward.
Yes, so it starts off with the prologue, which I think we can safely summarize as if you've seen the online Flash movies of last year's storyline, then you have seen the prologue.
And arguably, you would have seen a better prologue. Arguably.
Yeah, because it's...
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people had issues with the narrator also being the voices of everybody, so without that, you could argue it's a better experience.
Yeah, but they didn't even have the characters talking in the narration in the prologue.
Right, yeah, you only had Narmoto, the Protector of Fire, whose name I will forget at some point.
Now that would have
the whole thing.
would have been interesting if they had taken the new voice actors that they've gotten for the 3D Toa and had redubbed the 2015 animation.
Right, I think that could have been fun.
And made it more of a full, fleshed-out 22-minute episode and make it an actual episode, yeah. The animation's all there.
Or honestly, at the very least, like get the guy who narrated the 2015 ones and have him be the voice of the Protector of Fire, because I don't know. That
I was just gonna say, yeah, like when you go from basically the equivalent of Narmoto, which was Vakama, who had this incredible, unforgettable voice in the movies, where everything starts off with this crazy Islander accent, and then you move to Narmoto, where he's just got like a normal voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. That is very, very true. But yeah, prologue, I would give it maybe a 2 out of 10 if we had to give a rating.
Yes,
it wasn't.
When I first saw it, I thought, "Oh my god, is this the whole thing?" I waited for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw that there were 2 other episodes, and I was much happier.
And that's the whole season. It's just the same thing you already saw. But it does help to answer one question on everybody's mind. Is like, wait a minute, are we going to start over with the original 2015 plot, or are we just moving forward? Well, I guess we're doing the moving forward with a backstory.
Well, yeah, I mean, it helps so like that way they didn't have to animate the old Toa essentially, and this way you contextualize some of the stuff that's going to go on in the future.
In fact, I actually did notice a bit of a goof there. When they were introducing the Toa, they introduced their Uniter forms before they quote-unquote revealed them at the end.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone knows that.
Well, I was worried that they wouldn't explain, because Journey to One does explain why they have these new forms, how they became the Uniters.
Barely, though.
Barely. You have new weapons and
Yeah,
powers.
you have. It's a throwaway line. Like, I don't know. I get that they, again, didn't want to animate them, but...
Yeah.
But like it's basically just explaining, we've given you new weapons, new armor, new masks. This is why. Whereas up until this point, like we've gone through all of January, February, we've seen these new Toa. We didn't know how they got to looking how they look. Normally, Bionicle starts, energized protodermis, Viscerac, Mask of Life. Something catalyzes their transformation, whereas this has sort of been sitting around not knowing.
And of course, then there's the last one, which you've forgotten, which is the adapted armor upgrade, which is basically what this is. Well, this is basically the adapted armor upgrade minus the adapting part.
Right, like in old Bionicle, we were so used to like some kind of like physiological transformation. Here, it's just new armor, new weapons, new mask. That's it.
Yeah, I almost prefer that. Like,
here's a sword and shield. Go have fun.
I would have liked if the Toamari had gone, like, prepared, like if Axon had come along and said, all right, you're going to go underwater? Here, have some scuba gear.
Right.
Rather than, you're going to go underwater? Good luck!
Yeah. Be safe. There's some parts that are okay.
I mean, not that I've been down there to do anything, but, I'm sure you'll be fine.
And one other comment I have about the prologue is that they finally answered a question, I think... Well, definitely on BS01 I know we've had. It's that what do you call the villager people? Like, are they islanders? Are they Matoran? We finally have the word Okotin, which
I don't know.
Obvious.
I'm still really hesitant to use that for two reasons. One, because it's just kind of a generic adjective. Like I can have an Okotin rake, an Okotin sword, whatever. Like I can have an Okotin anything. It just means
but with this
belonging to Okoto.
But at this point, with the introduction of the quote-unquote new name of them, now it sounds like you've made a rake out of... Man, I am dark today.
Wow.
They're
but also, like,
just put them back together. It's fine.
It's true. Well, we don't know if they can do that in the new series, though, but anyway.
You know what it also introduced, and I just want to finish this thought off. It proves that this is now a much limited generational, lifespan. Because think about it, those were younger islanders, Okotans, whatever, in the prologue, listening to the Protector of Fire.
Right. Well, we were told that at the beginning of 2015. Like those masks and tools have been passed down from generation to generation. Like it's not specifying necessarily how old they can live, but they do have a finite lifespan.
Right. It is a big 180 turn from and. First of all, let's think about this. This is the first podcast we've done explaining this, so it's probably best to talk about it. Second, it's a 180 from the original. It's like, okay, and here are the Matoran, and they're going to be with you for the rest of basically Bionicle.
They are immortal.
Yeah. Except for, the ones that we've decided to send up to Red Star. Not that we know what the Red Star is at the time.
Anyway.
There were a few things in this show that I guess really helped to flesh out what we can expect from Generation 2 Bionicle. So there were things like poop jokes, where, previously, Generation 1, nobody pooed, and now pooing is the thing.
Right, it makes them more relatable, you know, which is a huge boon to the new series. Well, in the old series, so much, they couldn't, and so you can't have a poop joke without people going, well, they can't poop, so what does that mean?
Now, apparently they do. Yep. One last comment to make before we actually get on to the first episode / second episode, whatever we call it. Am I the only one saying Akimu definitely got a voice upgrade? As far as, going from the narrator to...
Everybody got a voice upgrade, but...
Yes.
Not necessarily everybody. I still prefer... the narrator for this part, but everybody else, they got an upgrade.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and it's also interesting how they did that sort of voice effect on them to make them sound a bit more robotic.
Yeah, the modulation.
Yeah, the modulation was a good choice. It felt a little weird at first.
Yeah, it took some getting used to, definitely.
There is
I liked it.
no. I want to stop and say one thing. I shouldn't say everybody got a voice upgrade. I am not digging Makuda's voice, but we'll get to that in a minute in the next episode.
Yeah. So I think we're done with the prologue.
Yep.
All right.
Good riddance.
Episode 1. Are these episodes named?
Yeah, they are. So the prologue was called "The Journey Begins."
The Legend Begins.
The Legend Begins. Excuse me.
Begins. The next one is the Quest for Unity, or just Quest for Unity. I guess it's not a the.
Yeah, Quest for Unity.
Not to be confused with the Journey to One, because it's a quest for unity.
And next week it'll be, and next week no doubt it's just going to be the trek for joining things. I don't know.
The trek for singularity. I don't know.
There you go. Oh,
I love that show.
We are matching shows together.
Yeah, we are. So anyway, yes, episode 1/2, Quest for Unity.
Yes. Obviously, I like where it starts off. They just jump right into it, and it's like, oh, by the way, you've got all these mass powers, but not really. Apparently, the masks are no longer elemental because they got new masks.
Well, they're still called the Mask of Element. It's just the Unity Mask of Element now, and they still have the elemental powers. So,
but even then, it's not really the Unity mask yet because until they get the gold mask, they can't use the Unity aspect.
True, but then there are the golden Unity masks, and so it's not worth overthinking.
Can I just say that just drives me insane that there's apparently that much of a plan in place that Akimu's like, okay, I'm going to give you this mask, rather than just let him keep their old mask just to upgrade it to the gold one. I know it's because of the sets, but man, it just drives me nuts that he has to go out of his way to make new masks just so he can go get new masks.
Well, I think in that case, like, these golden Unity masks have sort of existed prior to Ikimu, possibly. And so the masks that he makes for the Toa are kind of like imitations in a way. Like, they're not as good, and he knows that, but they will do for what they need to do.
Or I like that idea. Like, it might have been that he made the golden masks, because I think, like, it says the creatures hid them, and that's why there's this quest to find them. But if Akimu made those in sort of like the golden age of Okoto, and now he's got like 5 minutes to cobble together whatever masks he can in his ancient broken forge, obviously they're not going to be as good.
It's very true. Which means, he had to go out of his way to tell them, hey, look, go get these new ones, these other ones.
Yeah, because these are better and we don't have much time.
Well, and I guess there is also the other part of that, which we'll get to, is they had to kind of make peace with the creatures that they're supposed to go find.
Yeah, that was
that was the first thing we're introduced to in the whole episode is the creatures directly, because it was Malum, Creature of Ice, that we saw in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, there's a few like weird shots in this episode where it's like 2 seconds of one character jump to a next scene halfway across the island. You're like, what? Hang on.
Yeah. There is a lot of jump cuts. You're right.
But yeah, with that first scene where they get out of the temple and they start fighting, I think it's nice to see like Toa actually using their elemental powers, which is not really something we get a good look at in the movies. Like I'm talking about Generation 1, where I mean you get a few things where Tahu stabs the ground with his swords, the Rashi is defeated.
No kidding. And
it's a lot easier to show.
And then we see a cyclone and fire from the swords, and now we have glass. That was probably the most elemental power we saw in the entire Mask of Light movie. Would you agree?
Yes. And as I saw someone point out that they said that the style of fighting in this whatever we're calling this, it's very similar.
That's apparently what they call it.
Very similar to how they fight in Avatar, where they're sort of moving the elements and controlling it that way.
Right.
Like, I can agree with that. Gali's able to. She was literally just picking up water and using it, kind of like bending. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. We're so conditioned to think of their connection to this Toa power, but right now they're just moving the elements around, which I think definitely emphasizes the way that they connect to the primal forces, which are a huge part of the new story.
Yeah, it's not so much as that they create the element, so much as they control it, which is, I think, it actually makes a lot more sense for where they are power-wise.
Yeah.
Plus, they can turn around it. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like, Bionicle started off like that. Like, there are a few lines where, like, especially in the comics, where, like, Lewa is underwater. Yeah, because he got a name pronunciation change.
He is Lewa now. It is official.
He is Lewa. This is official now.
No complaints.
I'm not complaining at all. I've called him Lewa for 12 years now.
So Lewa is underwater in one of the comics, and he's complaining about not having enough air. And it says, note, Toa of air cannot create air. And then later on, they just create air whenever they feel like it. And then there's another instance where Gally's out in the desert, and the same sort of thing where she needs to use the moisture in the air to...
Yeah, in the comic, it was number 5, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. It was issue 5 where she's like, there is moisture even here in this desert, so I can make a storm or a flood. That's what it was. It was a flood. Try to remember the comics from first generation back when I read them. Wow.
Hey everybody, it's Spirit here. So here's that little contest announcement I teased a little earlier in the show. Just letting you know that we're doing a giveaway for the LEGO Ghostbusters Firehouse Headquarters set. This is a gigantic set. Retails for about $350 US. This is a fantastic prize. You absolutely want to win this contest. What we're looking for is, in light of us remaking the podcast, we're giving it a bit of a facelift. We'd like a new theme song to introduce the podcast with. So maybe you want to make it reflect the new generation of Bionicle, Life on Okoto, or maybe you want an homage to Generation 1. Maybe you want a mix of the two. We're going to give points for creativity and originality, and especially if you can make something that's completely original, but that still has that special Bionicle feel to it. So we'll be accepting entries until April 8th, 2016, and send all your entries, preferably in MP3 format, to biosector01@outlook.com. Good luck to everyone, and we at BS01 can't wait to hear what you can compose for us. And now back to the show. But yeah, we've got that scene at the temple. They show off their powers. That's very exciting. Then we get
also shout out to the Skull Warriors coming back too.
Yeah, I was about to say. For as brief as they were, it's like, okay, the Skull Warriors, don't worry, they're harmless unless that happens.
Yeah.
And then what exactly he said it happened just happened. It's like, well, okay, you can go fight them. And then they fight them for what, 15 seconds? It's like, no, let them take care of it. You can take care of the other guys.
Yeah, it kind of gets off to a weird start, and then we kind of get into the action.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you have wonderful powers. Oh, by the way, Skull Warriors, go fight them. No.
It's just that these elements, like,
okay, they can take care of the rest. It's like, dude, we were fighting for... I really should go back in time, but I think it's only 20 seconds of fighting. I honestly feel like it's only 20 seconds of fighting them.
Right, but, like, it's just a good, quick way to introduce these things, while also, like, including an old element that they want to show that they haven't forgotten, which is nice.
That is very true. They did show... But that also tells me, wow, could they be introducing more of these characters down the line for the series? Because they definitely had to go to the time and trouble to animate these characters. And to create the models.
Yeah, it depends where they get the models from. So because like the 3D models exist for all of these things in some way, shape, or form. Like there's the Ghost animations, there's the mobile app.
That is true.
There are separate 3D versions,
especially.
And I don't know if the different branches talk to each other.
That is true, because they actually... small little trivia note, one of the programs used to make the LEGO movie, they actually built a few of those models in Digital Designer. I don't think they've actually used Digital Designer to make the movie, but they were legitimately building with Digital Designer for some of their props.
No, Digital Designer is not getting updated anymore.
Yeah, but my point is,
I don't know if I'm allowed to say
they may still have an internal, specifically because they still make instructions, they may still have an internal system specifically for their parts. So it's as simple as using the internal, making the 3D model there and just turning it over. Or just using 3D models.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of 3D printing going on too at LEGO now, so presumably they do have this base model somewhere. But
that's very true.
So yeah,
Anyway.
After the temple scene, we get to our first look at the shadow traps, which I thought were a nice interpretation. Because when you get the set, I mean, it's not really clear what they are.
Yeah, it's not clear what they do.
Yeah, it has called them at some point like living traps, but like it's kind of hard to tell what that really means. So it's nice to see these kind of, I guess, in a way, biomechanical creatures. You know?
Yeah.
What I've also noticed about them, it looks like each one has a sort of a personality. Not one to describe, but it definitely looks like they're independent beings, separate from the hunter. Umarak.
Yeah, like they're like sort of like on the same level that the Visorak were, where they've all got like animal personalities, but they don't talk, they don't do much more than that.
And they're a lot more cuddly.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes, I was surprised like how like little and cute they were, and then they go up and they bite you.
It's like, in fact, they had a perfect scene later on where they compare the little traps. What do we call them? Shadow traps?
Shadow traps.
Okay. Next to a skull spider, and it's like, of the two, I know I have a lot of skull spiders, but man, those shadow traps, I wish I had 3 or 4 more of them.
I love the shadow traps.
They are
They're my
more
favorites.
adorable.
Yeah, so it's nice that in this episode we kind of get a few more views of like the Okoto scenery. There's definitely a scene where a few scenes I think that people have pointed out that are definitely inspired by Generation 1 Bionicle. So like when Tahu goes to the temple where his golden mask is, and it's surrounded by a lake of lava, and then he lava surfs across it. I'm pretty sure you could take that scene with a scene out of Mask of Light, and it would look identical.
Mm-hmm. Now, this brings up an interesting point. Since he was able to manipulate the lava as a wave, and don't tell me he couldn't, because he was clearly controlling where he was going. Does that mean his power is really over lava and magma, or anything heat-based?
I don't think it's worth overthinking, really. Like, they're going to do what's best for the visuals at the time. In this case, yeah, having him summon up a spurt of lava is cool, but at the same time, like, he can't touch the lava, obviously, because otherwise he's going to die.
That's true.
Yeah, and there's a few times where like you're looking at the things that Pohatu and Onua are doing, and you're like, well, hang on, Onua, that looks a lot like a rock, not necessarily Earth.
Yeah, they look like the same thing.
That's very true.
So I guess it's all contextual.
We should also really touch base on how they found the creatures in the first place.
I thought that was interesting that they didn't kind of, all right, we found the creatures, we found the masks, that's episode 1. Like, they added conflict of, oh, hey, wait, hang on, these are actually wild beasts.
Right. I liked that they all of them have like different personalities. Like some of the Toa got along with theirs immediately, which, you know, they could have easily just done for everybody just to save on time. But like some of them actually, ended up fighting with theirs.
I really like how Liwa and Uxar, I think that's how you want to pronounce it, Uxar?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They almost got along, You could definitely see Liwa was just judging this creature, sizing him up, realized, yeah, you're very strong, and blah, blah, blah. And so immediately they headed off to a little bit. I mean, yeah, they had that race scene, and I don't know if it's because Liwa defended him against Umarak, which we're coming up to soon, I'm sure. If that's what really sparked their whole relationship or not, but it is nice to see how different their interactions are.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can talk about Liwa for a bit. Like, what did you think about his mannerisms, if you want to call them that?
Tree Speak is back.
Yeah, there was a subtle nod to Tree Speak every now and again.
Was there? Like at times he was talking like some guy from Boston. Like I couldn't figure out what they were going with his character.
That was a big I think issue with the episodes overall. Was like kind of stilted, like not necessarily fluid dialogue at the best of times.
Mm-hmm. But that's Bionicle.
We're talking about terms that do not exist in the planet we live on. So it makes sense for some of the voice actors to kind of go, "Oh man, what did I just say?" It's almost like the guy introducing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like, Teenage Mutant. Oh God, what am I saying?
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles. You could hear it. But yeah, now I thought the introduction to Umarak. I kind of wish they had introduced him in this scene first and not earlier. A little bit. I think they blew such an opportunity by introducing him sooner. They teased him in the very opening intro with just a shadow, and I'm okay with that. But then they kind of show him off, like, what, 10 minutes later or something like that?
It does take him a while to get into it, yeah.
But it's like they show it off too early, I think. And then instead of actually showing him off, taking the creature...
Yeah,
I just think they wasted an opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pacing was a bit weird, but I did like when Umarak is finally in it and doing stuff. I thought he was a kind of an
showing
interesting
what he
character.
can do.
Yeah, so he's got that.
He definitely looked like a legitimate threat.
Yeah, so he's got that ability that Shadow Stealer had in Generation 1, where he can
I was
teleport from shadow to shadow. And
I like that ability.
Well, I like that, and I also like that Liwa figured out, okay, well, if you can go in the shadows, I'll use my powers to get rid of the shadows. I'm like, okay, it's a little elemental interplay. I'm enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but at the same time, like, he can also seem to kind of make shadows, so I thought that was a little indistinct in a way.
He certainly, well, I argue he had the ability to manipulate shadow so much. But yes, to your point, he definitely had control over something. I guess it's not really the elements themselves because he'd only gain those abilities when he's connected with a creature, which we saw him do.
Well, we saw him do twice, and that's what I like as well, is that, like, Liwa gets episode 1 kind of more devoted to him because he kind of goes one-on-one with Umarak. Then Pohatu gets the next episode where he's the focus, and Pohatu never gets the focus. Pohatu is the Hufflepuff of Bionicle.
Right, but he was in Generation 1. Like, I can't tell if the sort of new badass characterization of Pohatu is because, like, that's how they started to do it in 2015, or if it was, like, the response to that from 2015, essentially.
Sorry. Go ahead.
In 2015, people were calling him Batman, the new Batman, just because, like, he was seemingly the most competent of the entire group. And so I'm just wondering if that was their plan all along, or they saw that people liked him. They're like, no, we're going to focus on Pohatu now.
I could kind of see a Batman vibe from Pohatu. It's a little weird.
He does have the batarangs.
That is true.
He does.
It's very true. Can I just say I'm not a fan of what they did with Kopaka? To a certain degree.
Yeah, that was
what exactly did they do to Kopaka? Because, like, he was kind of all over the place.
He really was. He had that whole, oh, man. It's like, that was awesome! It's like, wait, what? Where did that come from? It's like he almost... You know what? Actually, I just realized what he is. I think they wanted to create a character that is introverted. Kopaka is an introvert. You could see it.
Yeah.
You could see it.
I could get on board that.
Yeah, it's interesting that...
He's very... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, like, a few of the lines he gets, like, Kopaka has become the comic relief in the show, as sort of, like, he's...
I didn't slip.
Yeah, that sort of thing, but... And that's kind of what they were getting at, where he puts up this facade of being, like, this cool guy, and that he's so smooth and suave, but he really isn't. And I guess that's what they were getting at more. And so I did appreciate that at least with his characterization, it was consistent to the bio they came up with in 2015.
Would you agree that they really kept Liwa's character as kind of like the jokester sort of thing? Or is he a little more serious than he was back in Gen 1?
Oh.
I think he's the closest out of all of them, really.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Tahu he didn't really translate that well, but he's still a good character, I think.
I think he changed a little bit too much from 2015, but I actually like the new sort of, like, happy-go-lucky interpretation. Like, the fact that he's like a thrill seeker, basically. He just, like, enjoys doing all of these weird and crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got more of that going for him. Actually, he reminds me a lot of in Ninjago. I think it's more like Kai, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that the bearing to be a leader, but he's more like I don't know. It's like that.
All right, so episode 1, they all get their creatures. Oh, what did you think about the part where they're like they're psychic? Like they do that thing where they touch their temple and then it's, oh, I'm sensing a creature somewhere. I'm getting a vision. I thought that was a little I don't know about that.
It was a little hokey, but I like
it's a
that
little
Kopaka at some point like does it and he's like, oh wait, that didn't work.
I enjoyed.
It's like maybe I'm almost wondering if there's something to do with Ikimu at that point, because they only did it when they're in proximity to him, and then Kopaka tries it like you said in the tundra. He's like, yeah, I'm getting nothing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if they're going to really explain it that much, or if it's just
I don't
for
think
plot
they will.
convenience.
Maybe. I do like. One of the things I really wish they had done a little more. Umarok really goes after only one creature at a time. I kind of wish he would have tried to go after a few others.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're only limited to 20-minute episodes, so they can't.
Right.
That is true, but I mean, well, I guess
Also,
he did
you saw
technically go
that
after
in
all
2015, where like after all of the Toa, or in the individual animations, all of the Toa, after they get their golden masks, they face off against the Lord of Skull Spiders. But really, there's only one Lord of Skull Spiders, so he can only be in one place at any one time. Even though Umarak can travel through his shadows, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, with the ability to basically teleport anywhere on the island, he could have gone literally anywhere. Though it makes sense. I actually, what I think would have been better is if each individual Toa had gotten their mask and joined with the creature, pushing Umarok's plans off even further until all 6 of them had it.
Yeah.
With maybe Pahatu's being the last one. That would have been a more interesting twist, I think.
But yeah, I think with that,
Instead
like
of what we
you're
got.
sort of limited to time, and then you don't want to be too repetitive. So they did that Liwa scene, I guess, because it was different. That all right, he's the focus. All right, he's gonna be friends with the creature, and then he needs to rescue it. And
then all the others are basically going to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. None of the others really thought about doing the friend thing, except for maybe the closest we got is Onawa. Didn't really fight.
Well, Gali didn't either. Like
Correct.
that creature came up and befriended her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like, oh, hey, who are you? You're basically a shark.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's something else I have a
dolphin.
question of. So can Gali breathe water?
I guess.
That is a good question. The answer is, oh, look at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
Fine.
Here's the other thing. She could apparently not only breathe water, but talk underwater, which is okay. Unless she was using telepathy, which
Yeah,
I
don't
guess
know.
could work with the creature,
possible.
but it
They didn't really make that clear.
didn't really make it clear at all.
Maybe
Also,
it will
I
all
love
be
how
explained in the next episode.
Maybe. Yes.
Can I
let's
also
hope.
point out something?
Mhm.
The temple to get to the water temple, it's like, I need to find the location. What is that giant whirlwind right there that I clearly did not see despite being near for like 3 minutes now? Seriously, that's what it felt like to me. It's like, wow, a giant whirlwind. Where did that come from?
She looks at it and she's like, that's dangerous. So clearly what I'm looking for is not there. No, don't go there. Oh, wait, it's there.
I guess it makes sense to hide. But that's the other thing. I keep bringing these up, but it's like all the most dangerous or quote-unquote hard to breach places, but Lewis is like, oh, hey, look, it's that giant tree over there, isn't it? I think Lewa got the easiest job.
Yeah.
It's like, just run to the giant tree versus everybody else is like, well, I got a maze. Oh, I got to go underwater and get sucked out of the thing. Oh, I got a lava surf.
Well, I mean, they saw his performance in Generation 1. They weren't too impressed, so they just lowered the bar a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? You can't go 5 steps without getting infected? Okay, well, you know what? We'll just put yours in a tree.
Yeah.
And then we're
even
just
then,
gonna-
his creature still got caught, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
Anyway, so now that everybody's uniting and we have the creatures, we start getting teased with Pahatu and
Qatar's
Qatar's.
fraught relationship, as it were.
Yes. It's like, yes, we made it quite clear. We are partners, but we are not friends.
Yeah, and I like that
Yeah.
they sort of continue on from 2015. So, like Pohatu's nemesis was the Skull Scorpios, and sort of that
But it
continues
doesn't
That makes
on
sense.
to like a very similar creature. He's got the prejudice against it,
Makes perfect sense. I mean, it's almost like if Liwa had a giant Nui Rama to fight again. Well,
Right.
Of course you wouldn't want to go near Uxar. Because it's a giant insect.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've pretty much covered the ground basis for episode 1, don't you think?
Yep. Let's move on to episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
The Trials
of the
Toa.
So we start off, and Tahu's flying.
I thought it was a very violent way to stop him, though.
Yeah, there are many ways you could have done that a little nicer.
Yeah.
But he seems okay with it. He doesn't have anger issues.
Can I
He's
just point out?
Yeah.
Can I just point out that was the slowest? It's driving right into a rock. It's like, oh no, I'm still falling for 20 seconds, and slam. It felt. I know it's not 20 seconds, but it's like, dude.
Yeah,
really?
yeah. The
You
pacing
couldn't just fly up.
The pacing did need some work.
Yeah.
And also, I'm gonna hijack this part from my weird conspiracy theory about Ikimu, but didn't Ikimu tell Onua to stop Tahu that way?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Evil.
Ikimu seems really
confirmed
dark in the new series, so
and in episode 1, it's good, everyone's being attacked. Now you can use your powers.
Yeah.
Ikimu is evil.
I know,
You've heard it here first.
Yeah, no, he
folks.
is. No, seriously, I am fully convinced that he is. But and during the first episode too, when they're talking about going after the Mask of Control, he's like, "Yes, bring it back to me so I can destroy it."
Ah,
yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird too, where it's like, oh yeah, you need to destroy the Mask of Control. Okay, first of all, why?
Yeah.
Second, why do we have to have you do it? It's like, we could probably break it for you.
Right, but Makuta literally just tried to have one of his minions destroy Akima's mask, so now Akima's like, okay, I'm gonna have one of my minions destroy your mask.
Oh boy.
That is very true. It's by the way, can I point out, they're like, okay, we're gonna go now, and we're just gonna go. Okay, now where are we going? I don't know.
Yeah, they sort of go off, and then there's a scene where it's very poorly animated, where they're sort of pointing off the distance. Oh, let's go there. And go where? What are you talking about? And eventually you see that it's supposed to be an island, but...
Oh, right, yeah. Well, yeah, they, go through the jungle first, and they're like, why are we going through the jungle? They even ask in the episode, why are we going through the jungle?
Liwa, you should lead the way. It's the jungle. Well, no, technically the characters, or the creatures, are leading the way, and...
Right.
No, we never saw any jungles where we were going.
So why are they leading the way? Because they had a lot of jungle backgrounds that they wanted to reuse.
Yeah, pretty much. And also because they wanted Umarak to stage that brilliant strategy.
Yeah, so what... So, he makes those shadow creatures. I assume that's what those are. What?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I'm assuming that we're going to get some instructions later on how to combine your Umarak and your Onua figures to make this Umarak-Onua combination, and that's what they are. I can't think of any other reason.
It's got to be the only thing. So, I should point out that they make it seem like he had all of this buildup of, I'm going to select one of the creatures to take, and I'm going to figure out exactly which one to take, and I've seen enough. And then they're like, have you chosen who you want to take? Yes, I have. And I'm facepalming. It's like, are you really kidding me? You already know exactly which one he's going after. You know exactly which one he's going after.
Yeah. His plan wasn't very clear to me, so I don't know what they're doing with that.
Well, it made a lot of sense once you get to the ending of that part, of that episode, if you think about it. Because, yeah, he needed to capture at least one of the creatures to gain access.
Right, but that's also my thing. I don't understand why he only needs one. The Toa needed all 6, so why does he only need one of them?
Here's the other thing. We have 6 doors to enter the chamber. Just start one of them and go down the same door.
I guess. Maybe they all needed to be triggered first. I don't know.
Maybe. I was
but
about to
they
say.
don't. They trigger 5 of them. And they're like, oh,
right, that's
Kohachi
true.
will come
the door
along.
opens up, which, by the way, at the top says literally stone, and then he walks in, and it's like, what the...
And I thought, at first, because we had originally seen Umarak uniting with Qatar and breaking the crystal to get the Mask of Control from some stills in the app, the web, or the game that they released. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's the fact that it's crystal, like it needs to be the stone guy, like that's why he chose this one specifically. And it's like, no, he just chose it because these two don't get along.
Yeah,
pretty much. And that's the other thing. I know we're jumping too far ahead for this, but they're like, oh, look, we need to get into the crystal. Well, how do we do it? Well, 6 creatures, so 6 keys, maybe? I don't know. And then
Umarak just walks in and just busts it wide
Yeah.
open.
It's like, shake.
well, that's the thing too. Like 6 keys. 6 keys to what? It's not locked. It's just in crystal. Do you
We
not
haven't
understand?
introduced. Yeah, we haven't introduced protodermis in this universe yet, so it's clearly not a cage.
Right.
And again, yeah, we're skipping ahead. We should probably keep on the path, though.
Yeah. So I think in hindsight, I liked the scene where they're racing across the water because you kind of get a lot of banter between the Toa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps them show that they're clearly a team, but they're clearly not just blindly following each other. It's like they actually have a dynamic between them.
Yeah, and
I like the banter, and I also like the physical interactions. Like, you have Kopaka first freezing Galley, and then, like, having to grab onto Lewa flying, and then Lewa, excuse me.
and
It's
with
a habit
that,
you'll break.
like in Generation 1, whenever there's like a mild interaction between the Toa, like instantly it's all out war. Like as soon as they become
Yeah.
Toa Nuva, it's all right. Let's just kill each other, whatever.
It's like, and the Toa Nuva are here, and they're already at war with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas this is a bit more playful, and it's they're having
The-
fun, they're competing, but they're still friends.
The only one really not enjoying it is Pohatu, which again, if we go based on the theory that he's Batman, it's totally in character.
All right. So
Also,
you had
like,
to,
ignoring the improbable physics of it, I love that he just, like, literally skips himself on a rock.
yeah.
That was
Like,
awesome.
it just makes no sense, but it's just so fun to see.
I absolutely love that because it actually suggests he could keep it going.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the problem is, I would have presumed it had to be spinning just to keep going. So that means he's really going to be dizzy by the time he gets there. Because as far as I know, he can't levitate himself over the stone.
I don't know.
Maybe he could.
Yeah, they seem a little
Magic.
looser with the rules in this. Yeah, magic.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice that just in Journey to One, you get to see a Toa of Stone use their elemental powers. Once again, a Bionicle first.
That is very true.
Because in Mask of Light, Pohatu only uses his climbing claws, and that's the
That's
extent
very
of his
true.
power.
And we only saw one of his climbing claws. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Oh no, he uses both to pin
Oh,
his hand to the rock
you're-
sheet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And then Legends of Metro Nui, Web of Shadows, no one has any powers. And
Yeah,
then,
the most that Onewa really uses in the second one is just climbing. If
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's what his tools are for in the first place anyway, so.
And of
Yeah,
course
no,
there was really no Toe of Stone in Legend Reborn because, well, the analog for Stone was Matanui
yeah.
for that series.
Or technically the Vorox, or the Skrull, I don't know, because there's a rock tribe, I don't know, it's a little...
Yeah, and then a Sand Tribe, but then
that's right.
Atanui's the yellow set.
Technically, the Sand Tribe was the that's
It's
confusing.
Who knows?
Well,
Hey,
like,
Gen 2.
Well, like, that's where if we had this sort of, like, not so much rigidity, like, it would have been easier to accept a Sand Tribe and a Rock Tribe when we went to Barra Magna in 2009, but because they had these predefined slots, like, it was hard to make sense of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so they get to the crater, which is basically what do they call it? It's a crater, not even really an island. And they discover, hey, look, it's the labyrinth.
And rather than fly over it, they decide to just walk in.
Go into it, yeah. I was like, I was willing to buy that they wouldn't fly over it until the end of the episode where Umarak just jumps out of it.
Yeah, I was about to say. That's the thing that confuses the most out of me at that point. It's like, you've got 2 characters that could fly. 3 if you count Golly, because I think she could technically fly. Maybe.
I don't know,
Because her
the creature can fly, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's something we're going to have to research later. I don't know.
Yeah, And then sort of they go through it, and then I had the question the whole time, like, why doesn't Pohatu just use his powers to stop the giant rocks that are trying to kill them? And then he does.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And then
At some point he does, yeah. But
it's like, oh look, these are just stones. I could just. You could have done that 20 minutes ago. You know.
But he couldn't because he didn't want to unite with his creature. You know, he was only going to do it in the most dire of circumstances.
Mm-hmm. And then even after he moves the stones in that scene, it's like, okay, now get off me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they get inside, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to have to unite again. All right, let's do it.
Yeah,
and then Umarak attacks.
Umarak attacks. Pohatu is the big failure for a change. Liwa gets a reprieve. It's all Pohatu's fault. He ruins everything. And then they fight. And
Biggest battle in history.
Yeah.
Can I point out something?
Yeah.
The shadow traps, they must be doing a lot more than we think, because literally each one of them has each one of the creatures ends up with a thing on its leg, and then it's down for the count apparently.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I was wondering if the shadow traps are going to be like some kind of energy drain. Like, as far as I can tell, they basically just seem to like physically restrain these guys. So,
yeah. But I mean, you could clearly still see like the skull spider when it was there, trapped and like moving around.
Right.
Likewise, didn't one attach to Turok, and then Onoe was still able to unite with him?
Did that happen?
No, it was Aikir. It was during the battle where Umarak was testing to see which one was the weakest. No, it was Aikir's leg that got captured. That's what it was, the creature of fire. And then Tahu still ended up joining with him. So it's like, apparently that did nothing. I guess it's like the shadow traps are very convenient for the plot. That's the answer.
Yeah, and I guess they've only got so many episodes to tell a whole year's story. So they couldn't... I guess you have to imagine for yourself other instances where they ran into the shadow traps.
Yeah, it does really feel like this whole thing was rushed within like a day. Like the whole.
I don't know. I wouldn't feel as bad about it. Like if they had included a little bio of the shadow traps on the website update, but like they apparently eliminated the tools section completely for the website update, so it's kind of hard to get a good feel for what these things actually are and where they came from and what they can do.
Right.
Yeah, so we go through that battle, then we get the end scene where Umarak's talking to Makuta, and I thought it was interesting that like Umarak is sort of like a bounty hunter in a way. Like he's not really invested in what happens. He's like a beau for hire. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to leave now. I've done my job. And Makuta's like, oh, no.
That was, I don't know, that was probably one of my biggest complaints of the episodes is his relationship with Makuta. It's kind of hard to get a feel for, essentially, because when you first meet him, he's like, yeah, I serve no one. I do what I want. And then Makuta appears, and they suddenly like gets down on one knee. He's like, oh, God, I'm sorry.
Forgive me for being such an ignorant fool earlier.
Yeah,
it's like, I'll forgive you. Also, I have a very high-pitched voice.
That scene could have probably used one more minute to have Umarak be like, okay, I'm going to use the mask for myself now since you like it so much. And then
that was another thing. It was hard to tell if he was putting on the mask because he was like, okay, shut up, this is mine now, or if Makuta was somehow like compelling him to do it.
That's the other thing. One of the earlier comments was, like, just before he started, in this episode, he was like, you must capture a creature if the mask is to be yours. So clearly Makuta wanted him to get the mask to wear.
Right.
Because he's like, for you to claim the mask for yourself. That's basically what he said, if I recall the conversation.
Yeah, and then, it's unclear. I guess more will be explained in the upcoming episodes when we figure out who Umarak the Destroyer is, what he's trying to do, what that has to do with the beasts.
Whether or not they'll play another role down the line.
Yeah.
Well, is he now a servant in a way? Like, will he have any agency, or is he just now, a zombie?
Yeah, I really don't know. But
find out.
Like, I'm looking forward to it because... Like, the next two episodes, they don't have to introduce that many new characters. So you've got Umarak the Destroyer, the three beasts, and then powered up Ikimu. That's
Yeah,
only
2 of whom we've met.
right. So I think it might be a little more like we'll get more action and more development of the Toa, trying to figure out what their deal is.
Mm-hmm.
And if the creatures are perhaps, or the beasts are, as some people have speculated, like fusions of the creatures, which we'll see. But then that's even less characters that we really need to like understand who they are and what they do.
Mm-hmm. So, should we have a few minor theories about what to expect?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I just point out, I don't think Akimu is telling everything he knows.
Oh, I guarantee he's not.
No, I still think he's a villain of some kind.
You think he's actually the main villain, or
I don't know about the
villain?
main villain, but like he's
He
definitely holding things back. Like that's
He's definitely-
obvious.
Well, at first when I started watching it, he gave me, using an old Power Rangers reference, he gave me a Zordon vibe, where Zordon knew a lot, but he didn't necessarily tell everybody everything he knows. And it's not until like the very end where he's like, "Yeah, I'm holding things back." He basically said that. It's like, we got all this stuff here in the back, and I'm not letting you use it, but I'll let you use it now. Or it's like, yeah, we got a new Power Ranger. By the way, I'm not going to tell you who he is. Until now. Here you go. And it's the same guy. Ikimu kind of reminds me of that.
Mm-hmm. Because
It's like, oh, by the way, we've got all this new armor for you. And by the way, here are the masks. I don't know where they are, but I probably already know where they are.
Well, that's the thing too. Like that's why I think he might be. I don't know. It was another thing that made me think he might be a villain in disguise of some kind is that he knows almost exactly as much as Makuta knows. So it's interesting to see that these guys are basically on like the same level. Like obviously now Akimu's revived and all that, but he still doesn't know a lot, and he can't do much by himself. So that's why he's having the Toa do all of this for him in a way.
Almost like a reversal of how Makuta had to use minions himself.
Right.
Whereas now Akimu has to use minions himself as well.
Yeah, I would enjoy, I think, sort of like a reveal of some sort, like, oh, Akimu, even if it's not that Akimu was a bad guy, but like Akimu, he revealed that it was Earth all along. Oh no.
Yeah, that he's part of something later.
Maybe part of the reveal could be he knows more about the Toa, their backstory, their actual history, than he lets on.
Well, that's also a running plot point as well, and they even I think mention it in the episode descriptions themselves. It's like the Toa are still figuring things about their own past, and Gally mentions it at some point when she's deciphering the entrance.
They seem to know more about themselves from this, but they don't know anything at all yet. It's like, I don't think the creatures are connected to him that way. I don't think they have that type of connection. But there's got to be something related to, I think Akimu is definitely the answer here. Mm-hmm. I was really Vakama all along.
Yep. Oh, there's definitely something up there. So I think we're sort of running out of time here. Was there anything else? Any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Nope. Akimu Big Bad 2018. You heard it here, folks.
Done. Excellent. So I think we will wrap things up. Hopefully we'll be able to get our next episode out in a somewhat regular fashion, talking about whatever is new, relevant. Depends when they release the next episodes of Journey to One. Maybe new books. Maybe who knows what the future could bring. But yeah,
maybe
stay tuned.
Probably do a review. That'd be interesting.
Maybe. Stay tuned.
Maybe.
We will be hopefully back sometime soon. So yeah, I am Spirit.
I'm Dorek.
And I'm going to bed.